times. They're changing. India, once known for its brain drain and how its young professionals were moving to foreign shores because of higher salaries, better opportunities in the USA, UK, and other developed nations. But there is now a notable shift. Young men and women who have chosen to settle in India despite opportunities worldwide. There is a significant number of Indians who are reconsidering this path and have opted to even return to their homeland. What could be the reasons for this mindset? A Bengaluru techie social media post recently went viral, deliberating on 5 reasons why he would settle in India. And when I researched more, it seemed many are thinking on that front. One reason is how in a changing world dynamic and India's rise in global stature, many Indians find reasons now to stay back or return, contributing their skills, expertise, and aspirations to the nation's growth story. Inflation around the world. As economies in the Western world grapple with rising prices and India's fairly stable economy, it has helped some young, skilled professionals to reevaluate their decisions to whether they want to really go to foreign shores or stay back in India. In the United Kingdom, inflation stands at about 7%, for months remaining the highest among G7 nations. Affordable housing is the biggest concern among residents in the UK. If you can manage to afford a house in the UK to buy, then childcare concern is the next big worry. This mass concern has also become a political issue now, cornering the government. In India, given diverse options, you will still be able to find an accommodation for yourself that suits your budget for rent or to buy. In Germany, inflation was 6.2% in July, according to the Federal Statistical Office. The price of basic commodities have touched ceiling, and specifically the energy prices are still high as a consequence of the Russia-Ukraine war and the COVID pandemic, from which many nations have not been able to really recover. In Canada, an individual is taxed to about 60 to 70% of their salary, and extreme weather for more than 3 months have curtailed some opportunities otherwise that could be available in India through the year. India also has inflation, of course, yes. We also have rising prices on commodities. But the cost of living is still lower and affordable. Housing is still within budget for an average individual. Economy is still fairly stable. So for New York, London, or even Dubai, it may bring you higher salaries, but the higher cost to spend for basic facilities is also as much a part of that better life. Not just inflation. A country that attracts majority of Indian skilled tech professionals, USA, faces a grave concern of, for example, mass shooting, where even schools and children are not spared from this gun epidemic. Mass shooting have now crossed over 135 in the USA, and that just this year. Latest was a racially motivated killing at a dollar outlet, killing 3 people of color. So add that too, racism, where Indian origin individuals are still not easily accepted, and in our country, at least, you will always be the first citizen. India's tech industry boom. In 2022, Zerodha's Nitin Kamath has said, and I quote him here, "Whenever students ask me for advice, I say stay in India, not just because we need to avoid the brain drain or it's an obligation to the country, but because India will have the best opportunities in near future." Remember, mostly it was professionals from the tech industry who've been heading to the Silicon Valley in USA or to Canada or the United Kingdom. Now the country has witnessed a booming tech industry. There are multinationals, startups, innovation hubs, and competitive job opportunities. Indian technology sector is set to reach $245 billion in financial year 23. This is despite the global headwinds. The industry looks on track to hit $500 billion by 2030, according to estimates by the industry apex body NASSCOM. With continued investments by the government and enterprises in emerging technologies, India's domestic sector has emerged as a great propeller. We remember mass layoffs in the past few months by Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, IBM, and other global tech companies. The difficulty to retain the H-1B visa has created a lot of stress too. In India, however, tech sector is starting to hire again, as per this report. Now, India has become home to some of the world's major global IT powerhouses, TCS, Infosys, Wipro, and the Tech Mahindra, among many others. As per Business Today report, Indian IT industry employs about 5 million people, generates about 10% of India's GDP. Indian IT firms are now focused on cutting-edge technologies such as artificial intelligence and the machine learning. India now boasts of successful startups like the Flipkart, Ola, Paytm, Zomato, Swiggy, Oyo Rooms. These are only some of the examples. India's services sector has expanded at its fastest pace in 13 years, despite the challenges of elevated inflationary pressures. S&P Global India Services Purchasing Managers Index, the PMI, soared to 62.3 in July, surpassing expectations and marking the highest index reading since June 2010. The service sector is contributing in driving India's economy, contributing significantly to the overall GDP for the second fiscal quarter. With new startups, India is becoming an innovation powerhouse. There are homegrown brands that are making a global footprint. India's education sector. Education is yet another driving force. India has always boasted of the IIT and the IIMs, but there are also many other prestigious institutions coming to the fore, providing accessible and world-class education in different parts of this country. There are unicorn founders, angel investors who are as much from IIT IIMs and as much graduating from different institutions and contributing to nation building. This eliminates the need for many students to seek education abroad, ultimately influencing their decision to stay back in India. The new education policy, constant reforms, and global schools also making inroads into India have made many students or parents, for example, to have their children stay back in India. Family Connect. In India, family connection is still one of the biggest bonus. To be around parents or have grandparents around children, a home-cooked meal, familiar surroundings, while raising a child receiving physical and emotional assistance plus controlled expenses. Family values and regular interactions keep one rooted to their culture. The human bond and support system, celebrating festivals together and even being together in the moments which are not the best. It's really symbolic of a better life for many. These are all individual choices, of course, and many are opting to take these. India's affordable healthcare. In most developed nations, for example, the United States of America, yes, the medical facilities are top-notch, but it's not always easy to get immediate affordable healthcare assistance. That's why many Indians actually choose to visit their home country to get the health issues operated. Citizens from other nations also come to India to avail easily available healthcare. Housing, education, and healthcare are basic necessities of our existence. Let's face it, inflation isn't just a number on a screen, it does have an impact too. The quality of life in India is improving. Cities in India now provide five-star facilities which many are able to access in the past few years. Many Indians, having lived in other nations for some years, are opting to return to their home country, possibly for 4 different reasons. Visa restrictions, rising costs that offset gains of high salaries, domestic opportunities that are flourishing, and the cushion of familiar and family. But importantly, some have decided to contribute to India's growth story and use their expertise in the country of their birth. Developed nations on the surface have an irresistible allure of a life that we know possibly through movies and popular sitcoms. But in reality, the struggle often gets underestimated. Great opportunities exist from America to Europe to the Middle East. But in a globalized world, is India still far behind? Or are we catching up quite fast? Bengaluru, Hyderabad, Mumbai. These cities are giving competition to many world-class tech hub cities, creations that are becoming world leaders. Yes, there is a community now to feel safe in. There is a commitment also to be a part of India's growth story. The question is, what will you choose? For many Indians now, staying back isn't a compromise anymore. It can also be a conscious choice. If India is starting to give us opportunities to excel and the world is taking note of it, do we really need to settle down in other nations? As I conclude, success has to mean success to you, not to the world. If that means staying back in India and redefining our aspirations, rediscovering our roots, then that is redefining success. Thank you for watching.